Our next guest is trying to spread a message of acceptance and respect that's very personal to her.
Jodie Patterson says 8 years ago, her world changed when she learned her son is transgender.
I'm Jodie Patterson. I'm a mom of 5. We live in Brooklyn. We just moved to Bed-Stuy. We're just like a regular family.
In 2015, author and activist Jodie Patterson made news when she revealed to the world in a video that one of her kids is transgender.
That's Penelope, who's 7. Penel is my 3rd child, and we assumed girl, like perfectly anatomically perfect girl. Really early on, there were signs that Penel was very different. Every time we would try to put clothing on him, there was like an intense reaction to his body. And so one day I remember pulling Penelope aside and just being like, like what's really wrong, baby? Like, why are you so upset? And Penelope said, well, because everyone thinks I'm a girl. And he said, no, I don't feel like a boy, Mama, I am a boy. And so like that sentence was really hard because I was like ill-equipped.
Facing a new reality, Jodie worried about how she was going to protect Penelope.
First thing I thought of was the world. I went so far wide, like who is gonna understand Penelope the way I do? Who's gonna love Penelope the way I do?
But since that video, Jodie says she's changed her perspective on life.
I expanded my friend group. I shift the way I do business. I support businesses that are trans-friendly. I support businesses that are LGBT supportive.
And passing that perspective on to her kids.
Everyone can say what is on their mind, whether it's gender or politics or religion or who gets the front seat in the car. Everything is allowed. The only rules are you can't interrupt and you can't react. You just have to talk your truth.
Jodie tells her family's story in The Bold World, a memoir of a family and transformation. Jodie, thanks for being here. We really appreciate this. And when I was listening to this, you said your first thought was, how's the world going to react to Penelope? But did you have to change that thinking and that, first of all, focus on Penelope?
The first thought that went through my mind was how I failed my child. I thought that I had failed to raise a proud girl, failed to raise a feminist. My family developed pride in all of my sisters. And so I really think, usually moms and women, we have a way forward, we have a path. And in that moment, I had no answers for Penelope. So I really sank.
So you blamed yourself?
I blamed myself, and I sat on that guilt for about a year. And at the end of the year, I couldn't do anything else but go home to my mom in the South. I went back down south to try to put the pieces back together and put it in perspective.
You say you went down south. It's not even down south. There will be people who are watching, and there are a lot of folks who will say, at 3 years old, you say, if you don't want to put on a dress, that's fine, but you are a girl. And they will say, he's 3, he's too young. What would you say to that?
I did that for the first several years of his life. I insisted. I came very direct with how this family should operate. I put dresses on. I stuck to my perspective. I insisted that Penelope be smart, happy girl. And Penelope rejected that, refused that, cried. Every night we had temper tantrums, nail biting until the nails were bloody. The attempt to make Penelope see himself as a girl failed miserably. He became a sad and dark child.
So when did the transition happen? When you finally accepted this?
My transition? Well, that's interesting because, a lot of people think of this as the transition of a child, right? Sure. But this was my transition. Penelope essentially is the same person. When I went back home to the South, I looked at the people in my family who came before me. My grandmother, Dr. Blackwell, a civil rights activist. My uncle, Gil Scott Heron, who wrote The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. My father, John Patterson, first black brokerage firm on Wall Street. These are people that have changed America for the better. And I looked at them and I thought, they're activists, civil rights leaders, revolutionaries. Penelope is a revolutionary. He goes with what's inside of him, and he's going to make America better. And then I thought, I'm the same thing. So I had this change of thought that if we don't go by status quo, it's okay. Sometimes we have to course correct. And Penelope was here to course correct my thoughts on what it means to be alive.
How did your family react?
So we never lost love. Everyone stayed focused on love. Many of us had a hard time coming up with the word transgender. It's a tough word.
Yeah.
Some of us still don't use it. But, I have family from Africa, from Ghana. I have family from the South. I have family from Canada, from Switzerland. The main thing, and when you get to this point where you're losing your child, the critical thought is, how do we stay alive? How do we keep Penelope alive? Because if we lose one kid, the whole family has failed. And so we really, the bottom line was, how do we live?
So have you asked Penelope whether he wants to change his name?
Yes, that was a big thing. A lot of people think that I've kept the name. Penelope insists on keeping his name. He was named after his grandmother. And one day I said, do you know what? Do you want to change your name to a name that's more boyish, right? A little bit naive on my part. And he looks at me and he says, well, why? I love my grandmother, and I would keep that name unless they want to call me Jack. He was being funny, but honestly, he doesn't see his name as anything other than love.
How old is he now?
He's 11.
So how is it for you at school and siblings? I'm asking all the questions I can imagine people want to know.
It's tough because you have to be bold. This is about stepping out in your best place. And so Penelope walks into school every day in pants and a tie. And his friends said, that's cool. Some friends said, girls don't wear ties. Eventually, they came around because Penelope kept insisting. This is not something that happens one time. The first time Penelope wanted to wear pants, I said, put on a dress. But we're talking years of consistent behavior. And if every time he showed up that way, his friends eventually said, yeah, let's just go play some games. Let's just go do math. They don't want to argue over gender. They just want to have a good time together.
What do you say to families that are going through this right now?
I mean, I wrote this book for parents who are struggling to understand, and most of us want to do better for our children. And so there are the little things that you have to pay attention to. When I thought Penelope was being rebellious, Penelope was actually expressing himself before he had words. And so I say pay attention to the little things. Connect yourself to people who've come before you, to fighters, to folks that have changed America. If you don't have any, you can borrow some of mine in my book, some of my relatives. But think about how we've done this before in America, how we've moved out of nothing and come up from something, come up to something. I just tell parents to be bold and to be brave and support your children. Love and life are literally the only thing that matter.
Yeah. Well, Jodie, again, thanks so much for sharing this. The book is titled The Bold World, a memoir of a family and transformation. Thanks so much.
Thank you for sharing your story.
And we'll be right back.